Blanka can do.
And she's kind of airy and flighty, so she's probably forgotten 75% of that as she shops and buys horses and looks for her husband.
All the hard things.
On a personal level, I'm a little intimidated by her family money. She's one of the few people that I associate with this makes me feel poor.
Yeah.
And I believe my motivation on this trip is to kind of make myself equal to her in some regard. I know I'm more powerful, more capable, and all those things, but in her estimation, those mean nothing.
If you can get her a good husband.
Yeah.
The gremlin thing.
Yeah.
The gremlin thing might be a good way to, get started with.
It's hard to keep a suitor around if you're constantly distracted by something only you can see.
Yeah. Swatting around or swatting away illusory flies.
I suppose it depends on how much that suitor wants to marry into your family.
Yeah. With that kind of money, I'm thinking a lot of people could clear that hurdle.
That's right. And she is giving you an all-expense-paid trip every leg of the way. You participated in a high-stakes poker game where Bani came out a big winner.
Incredibly.
And, watched Satchmo smile, take a couple of hands, and depart. You did a musical number with him, and he invited you back to the lounge right around takeoff so that he could return the favor. Bjorn is sleeping off his drunk in his quarters, and Barbie is sleeping as well. It's just too much excitement for her. So you hear the announcement that it's about 5 minutes until you leave London. And there is you're gathering in the lounge. You see Satchmo is over there warming up his trumpet and tuning it with the piano player. Quite a few of the Zeppelin's guests have found places here in the lounge, but there is a table that you're shown to that has a tiny little black embossed reserved card on it. There is also a iced champagne bucket sitting next to it, and the porter says, "Compliments of Mr. Armstrong." It's a front row seat.
Look to Bani.
I gesture towards the seat. Blanka, this is yours.
How famous is Satchmo at this point in history? Is he a global star or just from...
He's a rising star. He really started to hit the jazz scene in his early 20s. Right now he's about 35. He didn't release Wonderful World until 1967, so he had a 5-decade career. So he's in about decade number 2. He's still recording. He can still command this kind of travel from his label, but in different parts of the world. So he's still on his way up. Currently a little bit more popular overseas than he is back home.
We know of him. We've heard of him. We've heard his music before here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we know to kind of gush a little bit in his presence because this guy's a star.
Yep. He's the biggest star you see here. What you don't see is the Clovian diplomat and his bodyguards and his secretary. They are not here.
My understanding was that they were going to be getting off at London anyway. They were on a diplomatic mission here. Okay.
You are about to leave in about 5 minutes, and there is a commotion on the stairway. A woman's voice, excuse me. And his secretary comes running into the lounge looking a little flustered. and she starts looking in and out of the seats. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. She makes her way over to your table. Have you seen my clutch? I left my clutch.
Lean forward, stand a little bit from my seat, and get that empathetic, distressed look, like I want to be helpful. Hide the casting and extend a detect magic in the vicinity to see if that can aid in the search.
You detect a little bit of magic coming from one of Satchmo's pockets of his tuxedo jacket. Your folks light up, but you don't see anything else unusual. Both of you roll a perception.
Ooh, I get to break out the dice now. Ooh, nice. That's a 29.
Same.
So
it's as good as almost as good as I get.
Yeah. So to your razor sharp knock Richter training, she seems a little ham-handed as she clumsily tries to do a pass and put a folded piece of paper in Blanka's jacket pocket. Oh, excuse me. She does a half-assed bump into you. She clearly hasn't had much field training. Do you allow it to go into your pocket?
I'm gonna see that happen, and I'm going to take that and say, I think we've got this.
You're going to intercept the note?
I'm going to intercept the note and say,
she looks
it might
even
be over
more
there.
Flustered. What's that?
It might be over there, and I'll point to another chair or another seat.
She makes eye contact with you as you pluck the note out of her fingers and does an about face and runs out of the lounge, and you hear her high heels click-clacking on the metal stairway to leave the Zeppelin.
I reach over to Bani, touch him with a message spell, and try to do a brisk follow. I don't want to leave the airship. I just want to follow and see if she has an interaction with the message sender before we take off.
So are you physically following her?
Yes.
While she's doing that, I'll be opening the note, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'll kind of harshly whisper to you, tell me what it says, as I angle off.
So you're scooting out and heading toward the stairway down. There is a porter that looks like he's about to hit the button to electronically pull it up. And you see the secretary is on the last couple of steps at the bottom and races out onto the darkened field. It's about 10 o'clock at night. Madam, we're leaving.
I brush up against him like I'm a little flustered, like I left something down here. Just a moment, please. And lean down to kind of watch out, use my low light vision to kind of try to penetrate the darkness and see just what the situation is that she's entering into.
You see that there is a limousine parked not 20 feet away from the base of the stairs. It has Clovian diplomatic flags on the front fenders. It looks like it has a Icenian escort of a pair of motorcycle cops, and the back door is open, and she's hurrying toward the back door, and you hear her saying, "I'm so sorry, I'm so clumsy, I can't believe I left it behind, but it's my favorite lipstick," and into the car she goes.
Drop a heel here on the carpeted landing, like I need a moment before he closes that, and stand on the stairs so he can't raise it, and talk to Bani. What does the note say?
It's a very simple note, Bani, and it is written in Gallic. Do you speak Gallic?
Yes, I do.
It says enigma equals, and then the echelon symbol, and then the word weapon.
Right, weapon. And the word weapon.
Allow the ramp to close, step back, put on my heel, and kind of blush towards the attendant at the gate and apologize for the delay.
No worry at all, madam. I'll make sure that the captain makes up the time. It's no trouble at all. He brings up the power stairway, picks up a phone, speaks that the stairs are secured, and you hear the very light, dim hum of the propellers beginning to crank up. No noticeable vibration. The hum is so subtle you barely hear it in the background. And then the airship begins to lift off. The captain does an announcement that says that you're departing London. You are bound for Dublin. The journey will be 288 miles. We should arrive there in 3.5 hours, which will put it 1:30 a.m. Magnatia time.
Rejoin Bani in the lounge. If I get eye contact from Mr. Armstrong, kind of nod and smile and act apologetic for my absence.
He looks like he's in the zone for his performance. He's just all smiles, and he's not the Louis Armstrong that we know and love from 30 years later. He's much more fit. He's more slender. He's still got that trademark gravel voice, but he's still a young man. He's only 35. And he waits until you are seated, Blanka, and then he begins to play. He does a little bit of warm-up, some of the hits that he's had, and then he moves the trumpet over to the top of actually he holds it because you see it's almost like a security blanket for him, and that's when he begins to sing Pennies from Heaven. And it's obviously live performance is different from what you hear on the radio, and it's so much better because I think radio quality in the 30s probably was a little crackly.
Most assuredly so.
He is amazing. The other people that you see in here, you don't see any of the card players in here. They're probably all still down at their game. There are a lot of ladies up here, and in fact, it's predominantly female, with a few men. And he goes through about a 20-minute performance where he alternates between trumpet, singing, and he's actually quite an accomplished piano player. It's all jazz. It's all very finger snapping. You see one couple actually starts to dance a little bit on the promenade, and when he wraps up, it is a standing ovation from the 20-odd people that are here, including the crew and the attendants.
Give him a rousing round of applause, stand for it with the others, maybe linger a little longer in appreciation. Turning to Bani, I'm dying to have a conversation with Bani because my hackles are fully raised, but I don't want to interrupt this performance, and so I avoid any discussion of Clovia, Echelon, or the note for the balance of that performance.
He is very gracious and bowing and thanking people, and then he tucks his trumpet away in a case that looks like it has seen some miles. It's completely out of place on a 5-star luxury airship. It looks like something that gets thrown in the back of a car as you travel from Mississippi to Arkansas. He tucks it away and carries it and steps over to your table and gives you a big smile and says, "May I join you?"
Pour some from the chilled glass or chilled bottle of champagne. Ask with gesture and eyes, is it okay? Are you going to drink?
Blanka's a little starstruck. Bjorn didn't get that way with Shirley Temple. What the hell?
Yeah, seriously.
He tucks his trumpet over to the side. He gives you a polite bow. He takes your hand. He kisses the back of it and takes the champagne and says, "Ever since I've been touring, I've kind of taken a liking to this stuff." He clinks both of your glasses and takes a seat and says, "Do you get overseas very much?"
It's been a number of years since my family and I have traveled to, I was going to say the States, but it's really Lutia? No.
What country is the American South in now?
The American South is part of. I know. My brain just locked up.
It's not beyond Vinland.
It's not in the source book.
Yeah,
it is part of Pascagoula, Florida, and Bacina.
Bacina?
Bacina is like New Orleans and the Louisiana Purchase. Vinland is like East Coast up to Chicago and the Great Lakes.
How far south do you see Vinland going?
It's kind of the Carolinas.
Okay.
And then from there south is Pascagoula, Florida, which is the Spanish settlement.
Well, you know that he is from Bacina, and you're not sure if it's Atlanta or Memphis or maybe even New Orleans, but you know he's from somewhere in the Bacina South.
Mm-hmm.
As he sits down and sips his champagne, he raises an eyebrow over at Bani and said, "That was quite a hand. I heard about it. I wasn't there to see it." Straight flush.
Yeah.
Against a straight flush.
Yeah, just crawling just a little bit ahead of where he was at. He did very well. Thankfully, I did better. Wasn't quite prepared for that kind of game.
I want to apologize, Mr. Armstrong. I didn't recognize.
Please call me Louis.
Louis, I didn't recognize you earlier. I'm not used to seeing radio stars in person. And
well, most people don't. And I've been told I have the face for radio. He asks you your names and asks you what brings you aboard the Manhattan.
Give him our real name, my real name anyway. I'm visiting a friend in Magnatia. I haven't seen her since university, and she's invited me out for the weekend and provided these stellar tickets. And I brought along an associate of mine. Do you know Mr. Elkind, Bani Elkind? He's a fairly notable travel writer. You might have seen some of his publications.
Haven't had the pleasure. Pleased to meet you, sir. Shakes your hand warmly. He looks at you and he says, "I do believe," and he pats his pocket, "that I saw your eyes light up when something hit the table of chips." He reaches into his pocket and moves it under the table. You see him pull a handkerchief out of another pocket. He wraps something up and he puts it up on the table. And he said, "A man like myself, being as handsome as I am, cannot risk being found in Bacina with something like this. I could end up being low-hanging fruit from a tree, if you know what I mean." Vinland is very progressive, and of course all of Europa as well. Heard some things about Magnatia that I may not be welcome. I hear that they don't much care for handsome gentlemen, and I would just assume that this went to someone who would appreciate it more than I would. And he slides it across to you, man.
I lean back as he slides it, and I put my hand on both. It will be in great hands. Thank you. I will make sure that it ends up where it needs to be.
Hopefully you'll never need to use it, of course. But
I am a collector of swords.
If I were to use it, no matter the circumstance,
I would not. Nobody would want that, especially at the
Hopefully
stable.
things will change.
That is my hope too. Well, I think that your influence and your grandeur is going to make that a possibility.
That was
Oh, I don't know about the grandeur part. I'm just a trumpet player, but folks seem to like it.
That's what counts more than any of it.
Well, and music has always been my passion. I started to play the trumpet when I was 4, right along with the piano. And of course, I learned to sing in church, like most handsome folks do. And, it's been a real privilege. And, despite some of the ugliness out there, what a wonderful world.
Yeah, I could say the same. That's kind of catchy. Just look into that.
And so you're off on holiday to Magnatia.
Yes. Visiting an old friend. I said I have not seen her since university, and well, I didn't realize we were as good of friends as all that until I got this invitation. Are you spending time in Magnatia? Is your schedule full?
I am not. As I said, I don't have any bookings there. I'm still a little concerned about the way handsome folk are received. I'm not quite sure why Louis Armstrong sounds like Foghorn Leghorn, but doing my best. He says, "No, I am bound for Thornwood. I'm going to be right there in Gotham. I've got some recording to do. It'll be my 3rd album, my studio album."
Oh, that'd be fantastic. I'm saddened we're not joining you for that journey.
Yeah.
But alas, we are predisposed.
Know that you have a friend across the seas, and if you were ever to make it to a performance, I'd see to it that you were shown every courtesy.
Well, I'm a little embarrassed that the other night our performance, or earlier our performance, was a little forced, but fortuitous.
No, it was delightful. It was delightful. There are few things more delightful than watching a beautiful young woman sing.
I agree.
Blush and drink deeply.
So you are headed across Icenia at this point. You will be crossing I believe it's the Irish Sea to get to Dublin, but that's another 3 hours or so. After about an hour and a half of carousing, it's about 11:30 at night. He begs your forgiveness, but he must get some sleep. And if you are disembarking in Dublin, he says, "Are you planning on accommodations while you're there, or are you going to press on?"
Well, my friend has an estate where she'll be putting us up.
An estate.
It'll be very late, but you certainly know your own mind. So me, I have to get some sleep. But it's been a pleasure to meet the both of you.
If opportunity should have us meet again, I would look forward to it. And you might be right that company arriving that late is unsuitable, and perhaps a hotel in the vicinity would be more appropriate.
Well, I wouldn't know about folks like that. My people just go bang on the door at 3 a.m, stinking of corn liquor and looking for a mattress.
I imagine Blanka has overindulged a little bit out of nervousness, and she's feeling a little frothy.
Yeah, you're both a little bit lifted. It's comfortable, and he makes his apologies. He heads off to go to his room, and you're left there with probably about another dozen folks that are still enjoying the light piano that's being played. A lot of people are over at the promenade, looking down at the lights of Icenia at night, such as they are.
when he leaves, I'm going to stand up, give him a brief bow, and I will take the opportunity to slide that into my pocket. Let's see. Just don't say anything. Just give him a nod.
He pays no more attention to it, and he's just all smiles and wanders off. And you see him stop as about 3 or 4 of the crew timidly approach him with stationery from the airship, and he pauses and writes each one of them a quick note and a signature. He's all smiles, and off he goes. They leave with their signatures just like kids on Christmas morning.
We didn't get his signature or his autograph. It didn't feel appropriate.
It didn't. I think we got enough. Well, I know I did.
I wanted to say something before now, but it felt impolite. I'm concerned about the message. I'm concerned about this vessel.
I don't know if this is anything that's happening now, but what we should probably do is walk around and see if we can find anything called Enigma. If there's written notes or
Sorry, my head's a little fuzzy. What did the note say again?
Enigma, the icon of echelon weapon equals Enigma equals echelon weapon.
Enigma equals echelon. I have no idea what that means.
Well, it may be just as straightforward as that, but what I really want to do is dip into the volumes that is in your mother's head and see if there's anything that we can pull from there.
Snort a little. Yeah.
She's I would say, criminal mastermind. It's almost like that. But she's at least a spy master, so...
Yeah, that might be more appreciated than the former title you afforded her. But I think you're right.
See, that's why you hear it and she won't.
Yeah, I don't think you edit yourself enough in front of her.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
You are very familiar in her presence.
I don't know what you mean.
I already have a father.
What does that mean? Then okay, now you have me concerned for real.
Never mind. It's a discussion for another day. We're having fun.
Blanka's getting her debutante on. She can't be seen to be carousing with the great unwashed.
I'm going to fill up a flute, but I'm going to fill it up really close to the top, just shy of it. You want more?
There's only a drop left. You should just drink from the bottle if you're going to go that far.
Yeah.
There is a bartender there the moment your bottle is empty and upside down in the ice bucket asking if you would like a second.
Do you have Norman vodka?
Do we always have to bring him into this?
Just because he's not here doesn't mean we can't think fondly of him.
Well...
And it goes down much easier than that bubbly stuff, which is going to give me a headache.
We do.
Domestic or foreign?
Icelandic, if possible.
If you're looking for Scandinavian vodka, that's very different from Norman vodka.
Norman
vodka, sorry. Yes.
Norman vodka. Would you like the bottle, or would you like it with a mixer? What would you care for?
Frown at him like that. It's just impolite to even ask, and let him wonder.
Bring a bottle. Just bring a bottle.
He departs, and you see another steward is standing over near the corridor, looking rather nervous and flustered, staring at the two of you. He's taken a couple of hesitant steps forward, and then he steps back. He looks at his shoes. He mumbles a little bit. Finally, he makes eye contact, almost like, "Will you please talk to me and let me off the hook?"
I'll tap Bani on the knee and say, I'll be right back. I'm going to go to the ladies' room. And stand and walk right next to him, slowing but not stopping, and see if he approaches me or goes on to Bani.
He just stands there looking between the two of you.
I'm going to knock on the table, not too loud for most of the team, or most of the people around me. Knock on the table and point on the table when I make eye contact with him.
Join my friend up there, and I'll return in a moment.
He gives you a very polite nod, moves to the table, gives you a halfway bow from the waist, and he says, "Sir, I'm terribly sorry to disturb your evening. I wrestled with whether or not I should, but you've been such wonderful guests, and now you recognize him as one of the stewards that takes care of your cabins."
Oh. So, what is it about?
He leans in and he said, "It's the cabin with your large Norman friend. I went in to do turn-down service. I was quite surprised to see there are two people already asleep in the cabin, but there was no sign on the door. The do not disturb was not hanging up. I didn't mean to intrude. I didn't see anything other than your large friend's duffel bag. It was open, and I couldn't help but notice some of the things inside, and it caused me distress. Not distress for me or for the Manhattan, but for your friend."
Let's just say what we are planning to do is we're doing a hunting venture. I'm not sure exactly what you saw, but
Sir, no explanation is necessary for me. I am merely a steward. But I did notice on your tickets that your destination is Magnatia, and their customs are extremely restrictive. And if he were attempt to bring those things through customs, he could likely find himself incarcerated, which is why I wanted to come and tell you that even in Magnatia, checked baggage is not searched.
Checked baggage is not searched. Where?
Cultural weapon, his axe, certainly there will be no trouble with that whatsoever, but some of the other things, it would be hard pressed for him to explain hunting.
Okay, so all that being said, you went just a few steps more than just seeing what is on the surface.
I'm terribly sorry, sir. I know I've overstepped my bounds, and I didn't want my guests to get into any trouble. I'll be happy to move it into baggage.
This sounds like a fantastic idea. I'm going to approach them with it first, but you gave us an option that I didn't otherwise have. So we'll speak of this. I actually reached to my
any questions about customs in any destination, I'm your man, and I can tell you all about Magnatia if necessary, but I would hate to see fine people such as yourselves experience any unpleasantness at the airfield.
Understood. And thank you for that. Stick around. We'll have a chat. I'm going to hand him $100 bill.
He expertly palms it, tucks it into his watch pocket, gives you another nod, and retreats to the far end of the lounge where he stands at parade rest, waiting patiently.
We rejoined Bani at the table after a break to the lavatory and slide in. What did I miss?
What you didn't miss is down at the lavatory, the elderly grand dame with the twin greyhounds berating a porter wanting to know why he couldn't hold her dogs while she went into the ladies' room, and then if he couldn't do it, she would just take them in with her, and he told her that she couldn't, and so that turned into a row, and it summoned the purser, and you didn't hear the outcome of it because it was still going on after you'd washed your hands and left the lavatory.
Yeah, if she had any sort of urgency, It's probably running down her leg, right? Anyway.
Now, you've seen these dogs shit and urinate on the promenades.
Just indiscriminately. Oh. Okay.
Where it is quickly cleaned up by a smiling steward.
So, you know what, Blanka? Let's adjourn to our rooms because there's two things I need to understand, and I should bring them up as we walk there. Is that okay with you?
That's fine. I clasp his elbow and walk a half step behind.
As you pass the steward, he says, "Do you still wish me to wait here for you, sir?"
Just be close. We'll find you. What is your name, sir?
Jerome.
Jerome.
I'm the night steward. If you ring service from your suite, I'll be there.
Excellent. I will do so. Thank you, Jerome.
Bani,
I walk past.
whisper up to his ear, that woman incenses me. It's taking every ounce of restraint I have to not cause her mischief.
Well, we are on vacation.
Are you saying it's okay?
I have no control over you. There is no mission lead. There's nothing. No structure, no hierarchy. You do what you will. I neither confirm nor deny whatever happens.
That's precious.
Isn't it?
It is.
Cheers.
Oh,
Don't worry. I'll drink for both of us.
Did you bring the bottle of Norman vodka with you, or did you leave it at your table?
Oh, I grabbed it. I took it.
well,
Sorry.
if you've got the bottle, then we'll pause on the stairs, promenade, and Blanka will drink from the lips.
Oh,
You get a couple of distasteful stares from the upper crust who turn away shocked that they've seen such a display of brutishness.
take it.
I'm
I'll take
gonna
my
look-
swig.
going to look through the wardrobe and see if I've got any flapper dresses.
Believe you purchased one.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
As you reach your cabin, you see that there is another steward who is discreetly knocking and asking the occupants if they wish for turn down service. He ignores the doors that have do not disturb. He does see you two in the hall, and he pulls out a notepad and he says, I see that you are bound for Dublin. Would you like a wake-up knock prior to landing?
I think so. Yes. How late is this? Is our arrival?
Well, we'll arrive at 1:30 a.m.
Okay.
Perhaps 45 minutes in advance. Would that be enough time?
Let's do an hour in advance.
Very good, sir.
Thank
Are
you,
you
sir.
thinking that that's the amount of time we need to convince Bjorn to part with his bag for an hour?
Yeah. So let's talk about the bag. But I think the other thing that's more curious is the fact that Bjorn and Robyn are in the same room right now.
That's not an accident.
It never is, but is it? Has that happened before? I may not have been absolutely aware of what's going on.
I don't think so, but it's by design.
Oh, that's right. You and I were in the same room. They're in
Yeah.
the same room. Okay,
Yeah.
so indiscretions could happen, but we don't care. Okay. By design.
By design.
So you chose to opt out of. Anyway, I'll keep.
It
thank you.
looks better if couples share a room. If we are separated, it's got its own odd
Nuance.
flavor. Yeah.
Yes.
So I wanted to make sure that nobody suspected that something was weird, and it's normal for couples to occupy a room.
Okay. Follow your lead. let's check in on them and let's decide what we need to do with that bag. Because now that I have an extra firearm, which seemed to be not really a problem for the hunter, probably wouldn't be a bad thing to carry on in, but I forget how heavy Bjorn packs.
Well, I can diminish the signature of this object to get through customs if that helps you.
Is that how it works? Take the bag, shrink the bag?
I can't group items together. It has to be an individual thing.
Well, considering how many, and I look around the hallway, considering how many grenades are probably in that bag.
If we could somehow make it one object, then I could shrink it to a coin size, but I don't have enough. Yeah.
Blue, we could freeze the whole thing.
I don't know how much it takes to fool the magic gods.
So what he said was, we can check a bag. They never check the bags.
Right.
Checked.
I think we help him in his moment of slumber to do the right thing. And if I need to put something there as a proxy so that he feels comfortable, we can always provide a facsimile for the comfort he's used to.
Okay. I'm sure he would understand customs. He would understand that we just need to release those items, let them be packed. The problem is do we trust everybody on board, especially with a steward who was able to look so deeply into the bag that he knew exactly what was inside of it?
I never assume that the staff doesn't know everything that you don't want them to.
Dude, I worked at a Marriott for a year. The staff fucking knows everything.
I think that's the answer. Okay. Well,
until I was 16, someone else dressed me every day. So,
well, you stood there like this.
Yes, secrets are not something I get to have, and I am not accustomed to. Deception, on the other hand, is something I know well.
You do not miss having to hang on to a bedpost while a maid puts a knee in your back and pulls your corset tight.
Yes. Taking whatever diminished capacity there is for a view and squeezing it northward.
That's right.
And the lift. Well, let's we just take care of the bag. All we need to do. He can be informed. He cannot be informed. Why don't you do the information? How do you want to do it?
I think we will tell him of the circumstances he's facing, and he'll make the right choice.
I'm sure he will. Unfortunately, you're going to have to say that I am team lead in that case. If there's ever a discussion, if there's ever... unless you want to be team lead, I'll let you be team lead. This is your friend, after all.
Yeah. This is not a mission. We are friends. We're on a journey together. Team lead means that we've got reports and obligations and duties, and we have none of that. Let's assume that my friend's problem is purely in her head, and we don't have anything to do here, magical, deadly, dangerous, or otherwise, and we're just helping out an old friend. We're traveling together. We're going to get past these artificial barriers they have for weapons that we're used to getting past. Mm-hmm. Bjorn will understand. We don't need a mission lead for him to have some sense in that head of his.
Okay, I just want you to know that if it does come into that point,
nothing you say will change it for the better. You know that.
Well, I don't want this to be a mission either.
Especially. I know. Let me talk with Bjorn. I will do the hummingbird in his ear and help him understand that we don't want to embarrass my friend on her home soil.
Yeah. And he has a whole lot of hardware. And I'm sure that he can pack some of that hardware away in a place that is a little more discreet than what we've got.
I'm glad he doesn't require porters, because he would be an expensive
Fortunately, he's strong enough to carry his own bags.
Heavy reinforced bags. That's
The baggage that he doesn't carry, we have to carry for him. And I'm not talking about anything physical.
Yeah, he carries a lot of that baggage up here.
okay. Well, let's. We don't have to wake them right now.
No,
go see
I think we wait to just before there's time to move the baggage.
Yeah.
Below.
I'm going to speak with this Jerem fellow. But again, if you see anything called Enigma, or if you see any names or sigils or anything like that that would equate to that, keep an eye out.
Well, let's back up for a second. Why would they play that hand and depart? Why would she put that card discreetly on me?
So tell me this. What did you see when you saw her leave?
She exited the airship to an awaiting limo with Clovian flags on the fender wells and a motorcycle escort. I didn't get a glimpse of who was inside, but I don't think we need to question who that might be. We've already met them.
Understood. It was the gentleman.
What I don't
However,
understand is why she was making excuses back to him as she returned, as though she was being silly. So was she tipping their hand toward us?
I think so. Highly potential.
So if she is, I'm not even going to give her credit as a double agent, but let's say she's feeling guilty about what she does or who she works for, and she has any inkling of who we are or how we might change that.
It was clear that
what could she possibly do by tipping the hand to us?
So I think the bodyguards, the conversations that probably happened in between, did give some of that indication that there is something going on. So but that's, point one. But point two, what benefit is it to her? Well, I think you kind of nailed it when you said if she feels guilty for something that's going on, it's likely that's she's trying to absolve herself by giving us information.
By the fact that she presented a false story back to her employers tells me whatever she was doing was in our best interest and not in the best interest of her employer.
Mm-hmm. That's my thought too.
I don't recall back to the card game or any previous interactions with that diplomat as to what his mission was. I don't know if you remember.
The diplomat was simply going to be speaking trade and materials with Icenia. That's what it seemed like. It could have been a diplomatic mission, but it seemed like it was more about resources and trade.
What? There is historic animosity between Icenia and Clovia.
Well,
Icenia occupies soil that once belonged to Clovia, and I don't believe that tension will go unresolved in the next decade.
Well, if there is, what is it called? When trade embargoes are in place, trade is restricted.
Mm-hmm.
If there is enough need for trade, and with the idea that right now they're just playing, they're playing a quiet hand, and they're
posturing,
yeah, posturing. This idea that they may be giving us just enough, or they may need certain amount of resources from Icenia, keep them flowing until they can take that back. Of course, how much is the government involved with whatever the king is going for? They still need to keep the wheels greased and moving.
I just want to understand why the sparrow is singing to us now, and I imagine her boss knows who we are, and that's why she made that clumsy effort to send a message.
She was not a spy master by any stretch.
And I think your interception of that was a nice gesture on our part to say that she's dealing with professionals. I was a little flummoxed as to how to react to it as I saw her trying to tuck it into my pocket because I wasn't ready for that kind of a clumsy approach.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that the bodyguards made some motions and said something, but the dirigible was clear.
You're right. My fears were more dealing with an enemy agent, not a defector in their ranks.
Yeah. I mean, we should take it with a grain of salt. This is all information. Any information is good or useful information, and it just gives us something else to look for. I don't see this as a big red herring.
Enigma echelon equals...
Or Enigma equals echelon weapon. In Gallic.
What is Enigma?
That is the question. That's why I think we need to tap your mom. I mean...
I'll grab the vodka bottle, take another inappropriate hit, hand it back to him.
As the two of you nip from, well, more than nip from the bottle, you look around at this luxurious suite and at all the wonders of this airship, and a small part of you wishes you were making the Atlantic crossing so you could spend a few days wrapped up in this instead of hustling off in about 2 hours.
Yeah, this is gorgeous. We need to take more advantage of this.
It doesn't make much sense to try to even get any sleep in the time we have remaining.
We're gonna sleep when we get wherever we're going. So is the banging on the door to the Drachenfels Manor the right idea? They're gonna have attendants at all hours. I don't necessarily think that Louis is wrong. He said we could call him Louis.
I feel so wrong.
Why?
I don't know. I mean,
the beauty of being wealthy beyond imagination is the fact that they have hundreds of people who are willing to do their bidding any moment.
Right. And those people in that station enforce rules where they are treated as lords, duchesses, dukes, and everybody is Mr. and Mrs. and Lord this and Lady that. And here's a man who's made his way up from nothing and has provided a benefit to the world that is beyond most of what these people will ever contribute. And he wants us to call him Louis.
Louis. Well, do you want to take care of that woman's dogs, or?
No, she's not worth the distraction.
See, I'm just saying, all things being equal, as long as we're not those people, we can be good, and we can be providing service. We don't necessarily have to be snobbish or... And these are the things.
Don't
the
steal
lessons.
My inside track.
I just really appreciate these insights that you're bringing to me, because I would dare say at some point in your history, this may have been the lifestyle that you were looking towards.
I've read your file, Bani.
I shed that so fast. You know, you saw it.
You played the game, and you played it well enough to stay in it. Your ex-wife, whatever level of society she played at, you were there too.
Yeah.
And that's why you're on this trip, because I know you can play the game.
Oh. It's going to take a little bit of practice.
Look, Bjorn is a thug. I love him, but he is going to be a dangerous asset on this mission. I can treat him as nothing better than brutish security. Robyn is no better. Her orphanage ties show in every gesture. She carries herself like a street thug. I mean, she's a beautiful woman, but she's incapable of presenting herself in noble society.
Agreed.
This is where the author writes, and Bani had nothing to say to that.
And so I'm the polish. I'm the one that rounds out the corners, you're saying.
It is why we are traveling together, and it's why we will arrive as good friends. And you and I, our ages, not considered, can deal with the level of society we're about to to face. Though I think we're both going to have moments where that's a struggle.
Oh, guaranteed.
But we're gonna have to apply polish to the brutish boots that we're bringing with us to preserve this so that it is a good encounter.
I just think that they're going to be fascinated by them. By both of them, really. You tell them a little bit of backstory, and suddenly it's like, oh.
You brought a circus animal with you.
Two.
How delightful.
I think it's adorable that Mr. Armstrong, Louis, got to see a performance by Bjorn, reluctant as it was. It was amazing. And if we can have that same level of care when we get there, maybe this will be a good day, good trip.
Anyone's guess. We have a lot of days ahead of us.
I hope not.
Oh no, I want those days. Please, let's have those days ahead of us.
Are you looking for an escape on this trip? Because if we need to facilitate time away from work, I mean, the commander has already given permission for us to take what time we need. Do you want me to stretch this encounter?
No, I'm saying when you say that there are so many days left, I have a different perspective than somebody as young as yourself. Let's just say it that way. I've seen what would be etched on the inside of my coffin, let's say.
Are you scratching notes on the inside? That's not how it works.
You really shouldn't be there.
Just note to self. I've got the little rope with the runs up to the bell. Ding.
Are you going to use an enchantment to bring yourself back after death? That's brilliant.
Just make sure you put the last stitch of the canvas between his nose.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a short period of time before we land. Let's have our attendant.
Yeah, you want me to see?
Make sure he wakes us an hour. I'm worried that Bjorn's going to wake up before that, and then we're going to be dealing with an unruly bear.
He drank more than that, didn't he? But it really doesn't seem to faze him anymore.
I don't know that he drank that much. I think he's just exhausted from the journey.
Carrying that bag.
It's like Thor's hammer. He's the only one that can lift it.
Are you talking about Robyn?
that
No,
bag.
we all bear that burden.
I love her to death. And as a roommate, she's interesting.
See,
I've never had a roommate like her before.
I think that you're experiencing the same thing that I'm thinking that they will experience by bringing us into their houses, their manor.
Can I get you both to roll a perception?
Not terrible. 26.
33.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You
18.
both hear what sounds like an explosion. You feel the airship shudder, and then you feel it begin to rise very rapidly.
At an odd angle?
No, it's still level, but it's definitely, you feel the acceleration vertically.
Just push out into the hallway, bang on Bjorn and Robyn's door, and then descend to the promenade to look out the windows.
So the moment you step into the hallway, Jerome is at his station at the end of the hallway. He hurries forward. Yes, madam?
What was that noise?
Thunder. We've encountered a bit of a thunderstorm over the Irish Sea, and the captain is gaining altitude to climb above it. No need to be concerned.
I get to save face because I pause just in the inside of the door as you run outside. and
then you do hear like ripple of booms.
Look deflated, almost defeated.
Now you have windows in your cabin. So you
I wanted a big view, but I'll go back for the small view.
Through the small view, you see just clouds, and you feel that elevator rising.
This altitude, we're going to, well, let's wait and see, I suppose. Open the door and check across the hallway. Listen at the door, but don't open it. Do I still hear snoring from Bjorn?
Oh, it sounds like he's chainsawing an entire forest in there.
How is Robyn even sleeping in there? She must have grown up in an orphanage.
Bigger than any barracks he ever slept in.
Better than the bottom of the trench.
I'm going to regret this trip. I can tell already.
Jerome is still hovering. Can I be of any other assistance?
Shoo him away without a lot of regard.
I'm gonna step out and turn and say, okay, what'll it take for us to check a bag?
Simply tell me what bag it is, and I will tag it and give you the claim for it.
Okay. Now, this is a very heavy bag, as you can well imagine. Would you be the one taking it?
I can. I'm a porter. I carry luggage all the time.
Perfect.
If I struggle, I will get a hand truck.
That's exactly it. I just want to make sure I know who to trust in this situation. It is going to be a delicate matter. You've brought it up.
So you can count on my discretion. I simply didn't want a Manhattan guest to be roughed up verbally by a foreign country.
No explanation necessary. You did us a great service. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Can you bring the hand check over there?
Do you have any other bags you wish me to check? I suppose I should explain. Magnatia Customs allows cultural weapons, hunting weapons that they consider to be hunting weapons, a handgun provided the person has security credentials. Everything else will be confiscated until your departure. But if it is illegal or military, it will be completely confiscated without return, followed by some fairly hard questioning.
Mm-hmm. Understood.
And you will be required to show a passport. They don't always check your carry-on bags, but I would hate for it to be your turn.
Yes.
You must pay 100 silver pieces for a 2-week holiday visa. If you overstay, you must apply for an extension, which is an additional 100 silver per week. If you overstay and do not apply for an extension, it is a fine of 100 silver pieces per day, plus you must appear before a magistrate. And all activity at customs is magically monitored.
Oh, boy.
They're very, very specific. They're not fond of visitors. They do enjoy the income that visitors bring, but they would just as soon have you mail it to them.
Well, that's delightful. It sounds like it's a very welcoming and adoring place. I'm really excited to meet these people, shake their hands.
It is a wonderful place. I've spent a great deal of time there, both in Dublin and in the country. It's wonderful. But I've never overstayed my welcome. But
it's advice.
Again, a person of my station, my welcome runs short much faster than people of higher standing.
Understood. Well, we'll see if we can run that clock out pretty fast for ourselves.
Shall I wait for any bags you wish to check?
Yeah,
an hour before we land.
Yes, if we can check an hour before we land, that would be ideal.
Most certainly.
Okay, we will inform you then. Go about your business. We'll call for you.
Very good, sir.
Thank you so much.
He goes back to his post at the end of the corridor.
Wow, he really is right there. Okay.
The lavatory and bath facilities are not in the room, right? They're at the end of the corridor.
Now, the public lavatories for the passengers are one deck down, but the suites have their own small lavatory. There's just the shower facilities are common, and they're adjacent to the common lavatories below deck.
I imagine they provide robes and slippers as part of that process.
They're right here in your room. The fluffiest towels you've ever seen.
Yes, made of clouds.
Well, just as long as they're not thunderclouds, we should be fine.
Wow, we've already experienced that, apparently.
You do hear the thunder receding, and you stop your climb, and your ride becomes much smoother.
Sounds. Kind of wish I got saw a little bit of that myself, but yeah, I'll be fine.
I'm packing a Ragnar and a bulldog on this trip. The Ragnar was in my carry-on bag, and the bulldog is in my clutch.
Should we consolidate all weapons into bags and such? I mean, I'm not meant to have a security clearance. I could.
We could show our badges and move through this thing and at least carry on some firearms.
That is true. Our badges would allow us to. But are badges even recognized? But I guess it would be considered security or... But we're government, we're state.
My concern is the silencer on the Ragnar. That's, I'm thinking, overreaching and something that they would not appreciate. I mean, it's certainly not something I need to perform my actions on this.
Well, it's easy enough to move these things off. I mean, let's just take precautions. Let's take as much as we can. I mean, having striking runes on each of my weapons at this point, each of them. Did you hear that? I said each of them.
Did you even look at what?
I haven't even looked at it. I haven't.
Push into the room, fold down the bunk, and have him go through his fucking routine.
Oh.
Show me what did he give you?
Whip it out, Bani.
Yeah, that's right. Let me sit down and whip this out.
Whip it out before you tap my mother.
I take it out of my pocket. I unwrap the napkin from around it, and I basically just hold it in a derringer. So it's got the little shaped handle, 2 barrels.
Yep, yes. It's got the nice palm-sized curving grip, which is ivory with the runes actually carved into the ivory grip itself. It's highly polished steel. You think it's steel. It feels fairly weighty. It's an over-under, breaks open just like a shotgun barrel. And as you break it open, it is loaded with full-size Toro rounds.
Oh,
this thing is, you can see it packs a punch, and it's probably got a hell of a kick.
Okay. So
can I see that?
I hand it over to her in its open state.
I receive it, understanding the training we got at our camp and how to handle firearms. I'm really not comfortable with them, but I understand how they work. I open it to make him feel comfortable so that it looks like I know what I'm doing. But I'm really meditating on this device, studying it, and not looking at its physical properties, but it's more metaphysical. I want to understand the nature of whatever the magic is that's on this thing.
Okay.
It will take me 10 minutes to understand that, and if Bani starts to talk in that time, I will shush him rudely.
Is 10 minutes of detect magic the equivalent of an identify?
Correct.
Okay.
I kind of
Bani,
like.
what you do see about this is there is no trigger guard. It's an open trigger,
Okay.
and it looks like it may click twice. But it looks like if you give it a good squeeze, you can cut loose both barrels.
Oh,
The only safety on it is the hammer. It is not double action. It looks like it needs to be cocked, and you can see if it's cocked once, it will fire the top. If it's cocked twice, it will fire the bottom barrel, and a full cock all the way back, you'll get both barrels when you pull the trigger.
wow.
It's a beautiful piece, and it has very detailed artistic scroll work down the length of both barrels. The whole thing is maybe 6 inches long, if that. The weight comes from the fact that it's chambered for a full-size Toro.
Yeah.
Blanka, you look through this thing, and as you study it, you realize that it's got a decent aura to it. At the end of your 10 minutes, you are able to determine that it gives a +1 to hit per barrel.
Mm-hmm.
It does +4 damage per barrel, and it does bleed 1d4.
Finish my study of the object, hand it back with the napkin to Bani, and explain what its capabilities are in layman's terms. Again, this is explaining magic to somebody who's a weapons master.
Right.
Yeah. So it extra penetration? Is that what we're?
Accuracy, impact.
I will weave my
bleed.
mother's name into the description just to see how uncomfortable he gets.
The other thing that you notice, Blanca, as you hand it back over to him, is that is not a cocktail napkin. That is a monogrammed handkerchief with LA scripted on it in stitching.
Oh.
Can I have that?
This is yours. This is definitely yours.
I'll take that, fold it, and tuck it into my spell book.
Very good.
I don't think we deserve any of this.
Better than a T-shirt at the Zeppelin gift shop.
I'm tempted to put lipstick impressions on it.
That'd be if you were giving it to a man. And it even smells like him. It's a very, very pleasant masculine smell.
That was an impressive encounter. I sometimes marvel at what we get to do in this job. I mean, granted, we're on holiday and we're going to see a friend, but you don't get this in university.
Now, thankfully, we got on the Manhattan in the first place. I don't think we would have found or been able to hobnob any other way.
Our previous journeys by airship have always been fraught with a little more danger. This feels like a holiday, except for that damn Clovian diplomat.
And half the time your transport didn't land before you had to get out.
Yeah, well, that adventure over
Ingenue?
Yeah. I didn't enjoy that at all.
By any stretch, and I'm going to withhold the comments around Cornell.
He should be here. I mean, if yeah,
he'll get over it. He'll make his peace, and he'll show up again, and he'll find a space to be here again.
He wants for more than he allows himself, and he deserves more than he gets.
That's saying a lot. But I mean, deserves more. He's wants you. So I'll just leave it at that. No need to go into any sort of details there, but
We managed to get that silly fixed-wing aircraft all the way back to Burgundia.
yes,
That was a minor miracle.
more than a minor miracle. I'm glad to see that you were both safe at the end of that. I didn't know what to expect. Of course, I also had my
Blanka
own issues.
picked up a basic pilot skill off of that encounter, did she not?
She's a badass with a plane.
Untrained, but she still got the skill.
Uh-huh. Well,
Really
she's got
good
the
Easter egg.
arrogance to take any wheel, yoke, or steering device you want to hand her. She doesn't give a shit.
You feel the Manhattan beginning to descend. You don't hear the rumbling anymore. It seems like no time at all has gone by before there is a discreet knock on your door.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go arouse the beast. You ready?
Why don't you wait here and I'll go arouse the beast?
That works. Don't arouse him. Just arouse it. Just rouse him.
I
Yes.
didn't.
I don't know. I
didn't say that. You said that.
Yes, maybe. I can do it and get away with it. Anyway,
I-
I'm going to tend to
I
our
go-
luggage.
I go to the closet, switch into the robe and slippers, and then go across the hall.
I'll tend to luggage.
Jerome is right there, and he pulls out the key for the room.
My friend will require some consultation before you take his bags to the check section.
Very good, madam.
If you could wait here at the door.
He keys the door for you and then steps back.
I move inside the room and survey.
It smells like Bjorn. It smells like a whole lot of vodka and Bjorn. Bjorn is sprawled across the queen-size bed, taking up the entire thing, face down, snoring into his beard. And Robyn is curled up on a chase lounge, covered in a blanket, and she's clearly awake. She snuffles and she turns, and she snuffles and she turns, and she gives you stink eye like you're the one that's keeping her awake. It doesn't look like she's gotten a whole lot of sleep, but she's too prideful to complain about it. But your Viking is out. What you do see is that his big-ass duffel bag is sitting open on the floor. You can clearly see grenades, including a mustard gas grenade, very visible. You see what's clearly a shotgun, a bandolier of shells, the pommels of a couple of knives, including his trench knife, and you see hanging on a hook at the bathroom door is his shoulder harness with the Yeti, his Ragnar, extra magazines, extra shells, another knife, and a throwing axe. You can also see the edge of what looks like his partial plate armor inside this duffel bag.
I cringe at the overt display of insecurity that is Bjorn.
He is snuffling, but does not appear to be engaged in one of the nightmares that you have experienced watching him sleep from time to time.
Is he covered in a blanket?
No, he just went face down and passed out.
Is he on a pillow?
Sort of.
Move over to the bed, his queen-sized face estate. Yank the pillow so he gets a little bit of face time with the mattress. Take it over and push it up against Robyn so that she might be a little more comfortable, but don't even give her any focus or attention, and move back to Bjorn.
She mutters something, sees that you're not listening to her whining, and just grabs a pillow and tries to roll over again. How long before we're there?
How long before we make it?
You're probably about 50 minutes out now, because he woke you an hour before.
I'll tell her an hour.
She rolls over and huffs.
I move back towards Bjorn. Kneel, letting my knees split the robe a little bit, and then get up close to his ear. Bjorn, I need to check your bags.
You're going to have to go up against the DC versus his fortitude roll.
Oh boy.
You are looking for a 31.
I rolled a 2.
He does not react to your whispering.
I will continue to whisper, ignoring the fact that he's not hearing me, and give him a lullaby about how we're going to put his bags down in the bilge of this ship, and that he's going to be okay with it. And that's how we're going to get through security so that he can have all of his precious toys back without going through a major international incident.
He snores, he snuffles, he gives you a bit of a vodka burp, and he continues to be unconscious.
Kiss him behind the ear, and then turn towards Gerard. Is that his name?
Jerome.
Yes,
madam.
Motion. I'll go help with the harness and try to get everything in. I know it barely fits.
As soon as this, I can see people moving into the room. I'm going to follow in.
Robyn sits up. I'm up. You do see that Bjorn's battle axe is leaning against the bulkhead next to the bed.
I will approach that. He will keep his axe. Take the rest of this with Jerome.
Okay, so I talk to Jerome and I point at. Can he wear the armor? Can he? So I'm just basically going to point at different things and see what things.
It wouldn't be a good idea, sir.
Okay.
The axe is cultural, but I would strongly suggest that everything else, except for hunting rifles, but it's absolutely no trouble at all for me to check the hunting rifles as well. I know you brought some on board.
Yeah, I will be checking my own at the same time. So we'll pull this all together, pack in the bag, put in the harness and everything into his big satchel, zip the thing up, belt it up however we need to, clunk it onto the hand truck. And I'm going to go into my room and tell Blanka I'm putting all of my equipment, all of my hardware in.
Put my Ragnar in there too, please.
Sure. So
grab his axe, grab his axe and turn it into a lapel pin.
Okay.
And pin it to his whatever he calls a collar.
You let it still look like an axe?
Yes, it is a tiny little axe.
Nice.
There's your axe.
Roll a perception, Blanka.
18 plus 11, 29.
As you're futzing with him, you notice that where you snatched the pillow away is where one of his hands was. And underneath the hand, almost hidden by that slab of meat with the hairy knuckles, is what looks like a steak knife from the dining room.
Wow.
Just shrug, stand up, look at Robyn and go, "This is your room," and leave.
It's not my room. It was forced upon me.
I'm going to then take a turn and walk up to Robyn and say, "Is there anything that we can check for you?"
How long will I be away from last light?
It is only until we get through customs, and honestly, there are also a lot of eyes on this. Magnatia is especially stingy about how they handle this stuff. So any checked bags will slide through, but we cannot guarantee that all of our carry-ons will make it through. So let's just take everything, put it into a few of our different bags, check them, and we'll see them on the other side. Okay.
So she surrenders her precious last light with a warning that if someone steals it, the vacation is off and we have to go find it.
We will kill anybody we see who steals it. I glance at Jerome and then glance back to her.
He nods at another steward who is waiting at the other end of the hallway with a hand truck. He brings it down. It does take the two of them to load this clanking canvas nightmare of Bjorn's bag onto the hand truck. And they load up your other bags as well. He tags everything, hands you the claim tickets for them, and says that he's certain that all will be well, and that he wishes you a very pleasant stay in Magnatia.
Pull out another 100 spot and hand it to him. Again,
the guy with the hand truck is kind of...
I snap my fingers and look at Blanka.
I'm in a robe with no purse or wallet.
I'll pull out another 100 and hand it to him as well.
Well, thank you very much, sir. He tucks it away, and they whisk your luggage off to places unknown.
I move to the end of the hall where the showers are.
You'll have to go down one deck.
Well, I'll make use of my fluffy coat and go there.
The showers are immaculate, and they are also empty at this hour. You've got about a half an hour before you reach Dublin. Do you shower?
I know that airships have a limited weight supply for much of what they carry, and I abuse my right to hot water.
Absolutely. There doesn't seem to be a shortage of it. Any airship that can transport Pierce Arrow limousines can handle some hot water tanks.
When I get weary of hot water and start to prune, I will leave.
Primping and preening.
Mm-hmm. Come back with hair disheveled into the room. I'm looking through my wardrobe. I brought an outfit that I think approximates what I saw Dominique wear. I estimate that that's the right attire for our arrival.
Kind of that casual country fox hunting look.
Yeah, and it's not without a lump of emotion at her passing. Occupying that kind of strange space between mother's daughter and mother's friend, I try to inhabit the in-between space.
Cool. The steward is making his way up and down the corridor. He only knocks on a few doors, announcing that you are about to make your landing in Dublin. Those with tickets to Dublin, please prepare to exit via the gangway. You only see another couple of guests hurrying out of their cabins with their carry-ons. They look exhausted, sleep deprived. You guys don't look a whole lot better. Robyn gets herself all ready to travel, and Bjorn is still sawing logs on the bed.
Okay, it's about time we need to get him up. I'll take care of this part if you'd like.
I'll go down and see what they call breakfast here and leave that.
Yeah, I know you don't touch him. You yell at him. You don't touch him. Don't touch his shoulder. Don't touch on it. Yeah, just don't touch him. But you yell. And so I'm going to stand there near him and go, Bjorn! Wake up! And see if he stirs. And I'm going to kick the bed to shake it and jiggle it.
All right, you are up against a 22.
A 22 is a lot better than a 30-something. I've got a 12. What am I using? At athletics, I could do it with an athletics.
Let's call it diplomacy.
Oh! Special. I've got it. It's that's the 25.
He snorts, lifts up his head.
Hey, morning,
Are we
sunshine.
there?
Yeah, we're just about to unload.
He sits up, rubs his eyes, reaches under his kilt, gives it a good scratch. Grumbles, walks off to the head, doesn't close the door.
I gonna lean up away, facing away as he's, doing his business, and say, so, we had to appropriate some of your stuff and check it for security purposes because
He leans back and looks, and you no longer hear the stream hitting the water.
Hey, pay
He
attention.
leans back, then it does hit the water. There's nothing about Bjorn's wake-up routine that you are unfamiliar with.
Yeah, I've been here a few times.
He comes out, braces himself in the doorway. What do you mean?
So your bag has been checked. But if you'll notice, on your lapel, you're probably not wearing a shirt right now, but on your lapel...
He's wearing his wife beater.
His wife... So is it pinned to his wife beater, the little axe?
Yeah.
There's your axe. If you need it, throw it against a wall, and it will... Or just basically hit it hard against something, and it will return to its normal size.
More Fiokian.
Sorry, it was improvised considering the fact that we just had to check our items. And I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry because I had to do the same.
Why did we have to do this?
Magnatia is especially nasty when it comes to customs.
Yeah.
We'll see it on the other side. Think of it. I had to have Robyn give up last light, and I know that she is far, far more grippy with that than you.
He yawns. How long did she whine?
Actually, the whole time that you were sleeping in here, that's how long she whined.
Oh, I'm glad I missed it.
Yeah, you slept right through it. She was right there the whole time, holding a pillow. No, not holding a pillow. Anyway.
He throws on a shirt, looks around. I feel naked.
I'm sorry. I feel naked too, actually, considering the fact that I don't have a gun on my hip at the moment. But we're going to play this safe. We're on vacation. I can't believe you brought mustard gas on vacation.
You know, it was taught to me when I was only a wee boy that any place you are forbidden weapons is the exact place you want to bring them.
Wow. I mean,
I know. Norman wisdom is an amazing thing.
It is. It is.
Do we have time for breakfast?
Yes.
And as he says that, the wheels bump on the landing field.
Maybe not. I know a Blanka was... We'll get food in town. Wait, no.
What time is it?
It's like 1 o'clock. 1:30. Don't worry about it. We'll be to the manor. We'll make the work do the help. Wait, we'll have the help do the work.
How much did you drink? You smell like some fruity, girlish cocktail.
No, I shouldn't. I've been having some strong Norman vodka.
Have you been mixing your vodka with champagne? You remember what happened the last time? I had to hold your hair while you threw up. Or maybe that wasn't you, but it could have been.
These luscious locks. I did actually drink champagne before drinking vodka. Is that a bad thing?
You'll find out.
I probably will, especially with how I feel.
You need a nice greasy breakfast.
I don't know if we're going to find it in... We'll find potatoes, I'm sure. But we probably have to go to the manor. But like I said, they're going to be running all night anyway. We step in there. They'll make food for us. It's they're wealthy beyond belief.
Oh, you're settling into this Lord of the Manor role quite easily.
We'll see. If they do allow it, I'm totally taking advantage of it.
Will you be eating at a different table from us lowly folk? Will we have to eat in the kitchen?
Oh, come on. You get your sausages. I get my raisins and oatmeal.
Oh, I could do for sausages and potatoes. And bread and honey,
If there's
coffee,
anything on the way, we'll
oats,
absolutely
milk,
do
cheese.
that. Anything, just anything. We could eat anything. Let me see. Let's go and see where Blanka is. She may have picked up something along the way.
You hear his stomach rumble. The two of you join Robyn in the corridor. Blanka is still primping and getting dressed, even as the stewards are politely making the rounds, reminding everyone that there is a 2-hour layover before the departure for Vinland. No hurry, no rush.
The sweep around is, or I would double check to make sure you haven't left anything behind. Let me go see if there is food being served here, because if there's food being served here, we should totally eat here before we leave.
Blanka, did you get dressed and go in search of breakfast?
Yes.
There is a light continental table set out in the dining area, fruits, pastries, juices, with one attendant, but no real table service. It's a help yourself.
Load up a tray full of a little bit of everything, grab a cup of black coffee, and eat maybe a piece of cheese.
Crust of toast.
Yeah.
Easy on the carbs there, 17-year-old.
Leave a mound of uneaten food and digest the coffee wholeheartedly.
You are soon joined by your 3 companions. Bjorn grumbles something that could be good morning or it could be go to hell. You're not really sure. You don't speak Goodnish. And he begins to help himself to the continental breakfast.
I gesture to my uneaten plate as a offering, but as I see him go at that thing like a boar in a trench, I just smile.
He's a guy that needs probably around 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day to maintain. Robyn is pickily eating.
Half of that is protein, right?
I imagine what his impression on a small American actress might have been.
Oh, your Viking friend?
Yes. As he towers over the buffet, I'm like,
Now, you've been on enough missions and mornings with him that you know that like every 15 to 20 minutes, he becomes a little bit more civilized once he's had a piss and a scratch and a puke if necessary, and coffee and food. And eventually, within an hour or so, he might even act like a human being, but he's still in that in-between phase right now.
I imagine Shirley Temple probably got a glimpse of this creature in the theater back in Clovia or Paris.
Yes. You haven't actually seen that case report because nothing was filed.
It wasn't the mission.
No, there's just an empty manila folder in the file. And a slap on the hand. Get out of my file cabinet.
What are you two doing here?
That's a good question. How much have we talked with Blanka about that?
Bjorn hasn't talked about it at all.
I haven't drank enough to
So
talk about it.
she's in the dark still.
Yep.
Okay, good.
As far as she knows, they sat around and did paperwork and training while she was off at her reunion.
Yeah.
Which was just an obnoxious bore and made you happy that you didn't grow up to be one of these young women completely.
Yeah. And a few of the boys that probably captured her eye back in the day don't mean a thing now because they're just nothing compared to her life.
Yep, they're just a pillow stuffed into a dress shirt. You complete your dinner. Out the windows of the dining room, you can see the field lights. There are no other airships currently in Dublin. You don't see much of a city light down here on the ground, just the lights at the airfield. But you do see that people with flashlights or lanterns mounted to vehicles seem to be shuttling carts of luggage over toward a low building. There's only 2 carts of luggage, and there's a handful of passengers slowly making their way across the field toward that building.
Is there visibility of the landing area? I mean, we're touched down on the tarmac, right?
Yep, and it's a grassy field. It looks like there's half a dozen gantries, but yours is the only one that's occupied.
Spend a moment weaving my fingers quietly while everybody makes their egress of the plane, and conjure an image of a giant trumpet that looks much like the one that Mr. Armstrong used out on the grassy lawn, like an 8-foot statue.
It creates quite a stir. People are stopping what they're doing. They're staring at it. Some people are pointing. The Manhattan crew continues with their work to guide people toward the terminal and to move the luggage, but there's a few people in dark blue uniforms standing there staring at this thing, scratching their heads.
It will persist for about 10 minutes, and then it will dissolve into the nothingness from whence it came.
And by the time the mage that they summoned gets there, it's gone.
What the hell is that?
What? You woke me up for this?
That.
As you de-zeppelin, most of the staff is lined up the way servants do outside of noble houses. You see the captain is there. He's first in line. He shakes hands with anyone who wants to. He tips his cap. He thanks everybody for flying to Manhattan. He welcomes you back. You see the young female officer who was prowling the card room, standing next to an absolute fire plug of another officer. He's got to weigh 250 and probably all of it muscle crammed into his uniform. He's all of 5'6". He's got a nasty scar down one side, and the tight uniform doesn't allow to conceal the fact that he is armed. He wears some kind of different sleeve insignia that you don't recognize, but he's definitely part of the Manhattan crew, and he's standing next to her, very politely thanking everybody as they go by.
I will give her special focus and attention on her departure, giving tacit acknowledgement to the captain, but stopping with her and extending a palm in a gesture of respect.
She gives you a very ladylike but professional bow. It was a pleasure having you on the Manhattan. Please fly with us again.
Is that the same woman that was in the game checking
Yes.
everybody? Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
that was her.
Okay. I also want to take note of that insignia. I'm going to probably, as soon as I get to a place where I can settle in, I'm going to sketch it out so I know what I'm looking at.
So what you've noticed is that airship ranks on officers are very similar to what you've seen on steamships. Blanka, you've probably been on more steamships, but you traveled a lot. So you kind of have an idea of certainly who the captain is. Only the captains wear a white cap. Everybody else wears dark blue. And you can tell by the number of stripes on the cuff and the braid at the collar boards, or the shoulder boards, kind of where they stand in the pecking order, as well as age. But with the female officer and the fire plug next to her, you don't recognize their rank. It's different from what you've seen in the past for both of you.
Okay. I'm going to basically sketch out both of them sketch it out onto a journal so I can kind of look at, say, officer ranks, ? Just have that off to the side for later.
You can do that as you walk across the field.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop out a notebook and do that while I'm walking across. But a polite nod and kind of echoing Blanka's gesture, maybe even a toss a wink to the woman as we leave.
Your ship's purser and your cabin attendant, Jerome, are the very last in line, and they give you beaming smiles as you approach, almost expectant smiles.
I am going to give Jerome a handshake and say, "You've got enough, but thank you for your service."
Blanka, when she gets to Jerome, will have a gold coin palmed. She will shake his hand in the appropriate manner befitting her station, and hold long enough for him to feel the impact and the weight of the coin and look at him in the eye, which she doesn't normally do to staff, and say thank you.
My pleasure. He has gotten plenty of high-priced handshakes. He accepts it deftly, tucks it away. And the look on the purser's face tells you that that's definitely going to be shared.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not going to get that without. Hey,
I get some of that.
I'll give a nod to the purser, but it really was Jerome who saved us. So, moving on.
You stiffed him, cheap bastard.
I completely did not stiff Jerome twice, and actually him once. Yeah,
there are Manhattan stewards to guide you by flashlight across the field and escort you to the terminal. They tell everyone as they leave them at the terminal, through these doors is customs, and you can claim your baggage on the other side. There is a cab line just outside the terminal that can take you wherever you need to go in London.
Looking back from the port, whatever the building is that they escort us into, towards the airship, try to get a glimpse and see if Mr. Armstrong is awake and moving about. I really just kind of want to make a gesture of thank you.
All you see are darkened windows where the cabins would be.
I will imagine him somewhere in there and make the gesture regardless.
Very nice. Your stewards hand you off to other stewards. These folks are all dressed in a dark green uniform. They gesture toward the lobby where customs will take place and announce to everyone, please have your passports ready. Welcome to Magnatia.
Reach into my clutch, pull out the passport. It's my legitimate passport.
Same.
You enter into a fairly well-lit room with a very simple tile floor. There's nothing fancy about this room. There are long tables. Each one is attended by a green uniformed customs agent. And there's a big sign hanging just behind all the tables that says, "Welcome to Magnatia. All activity monitored. Magical interference with the customs process will result in arrest and imprisonment. Please notify your agent of any weapons or contraband." Who's going to be first up to the customs table?
I will.
Look back at the group. Bani volunteers to go first.
Yep.
I let him.
Bani walks up. A very early good morning to you, sir.
Very early.
Do you have any bags?
What I'm carrying?
Please place it on the table.
Put it on the table.
And may I have your passport, please?
Passport.
He looks at it. Mr. Elkind, your purpose for being in Magnatia?
I am here on vacation.
Ah, very good. Have you applied for a holiday visa?
I have not, and I intend to now.
I have the paperwork right here. If you just mind filling that out very quickly, and then that'll be 100 quinn.
Yes. I have not changed any of my money over. How much would it be in lira?
Well, at customs, we do a straight exchange, sir.
Okay. I will put 100 on the table and start filling out the paperwork.
He tucks it into a strong box. He picks up 2 different stamps. One, he stamps your passport with Magnatia. The other one is a smaller stamp that goes underneath the first that shows that you have a 2-week holiday visa starting today. If you plan to stay longer, sir, please see your local office, your local government office, and apply for an extension.
Excellent. Will do. Thank you.
He takes your document and tucks it into a file and pushes your bag back to you. He never even opened it.
Okay. I turn back and step out of line and move towards where the other luggage is.
Okay. Who's next?
Look to Bjorn, and I'm sure there's probably a small carry-on that Blanka maintains that's got various and sundries, and have him produce it, if he will, on her behalf.
Rolls his eyes. He's got his carpet bag that has his luggage and his shaving kit and a couple bottles and another couple bottles. He puts his bag up and he puts your bag up. The attendant says, "One at a time, please, one at a time." Sends him through the same thing, asks for his passport, asks him why he's here. He grunts holiday. Sir, do you have any cultural weapons? And Bjorn kind of looks back at you. Perception from both of you, please.
Hmm?
Not great.
28.
22.
Roll a percentage, Blanka, and Bani as well.
Come on. 50 flat.
41.
Blanka, you notice that there are 2 people kind of on an elevated platform that are watching over the entire area. Both of them are dressed in dark green, but they're almost like a priest's hassock, the long ones that go to the floor with a lot of buttons.
Mm-hmm.
And they each have a silver harp pinned to their high collars. That's the only other insignia that they have. And you see that they are either muttering to each other or just muttering, period. One taps the other one and gestures towards Bjorn.
Refrain from any magical use, but just use my powers of observation and digging deep into that kind of lie to me or deception refrain and see if I can glean any indication of what's got their ire.
I'm straight backed because I realize what just happened.
They both seem very interested in Bjorn. One stays on the platform. One starts to walk over toward that station. It is the woman that comes over.
I get Bjorn's attention and I tap at my shoulder where his lapel pin is.
He just shrugs and shakes his head.
Blanka, can you help him with his lapel pin?
He takes it off. The woman comes over. Her hands are folded behind her back, and she says, "Are we bringing some magic into the chair today?"
My friend here is trying to accommodate your customs, and I have given him the opportunity to bring it in a discreet manner. It is a cultural weapon and something that his race and heritage has allowed him to bring in here legally.
She looks at Bjorn. Norman? Scandinavian? Vinlander? He grunts Norman. She says, if it's what it appears to be, then it's going to be fine. It's going to be a cultural weapon. But may I inspect it, please?
Gesture towards her that it's fine.
He hands it to her reluctantly. She claps it in her hands and mutters a little bit. Hands it back. Oh, just an axe. Looks at Blanka. That's a nifty trick. I'll have to remember that. Carry on.
Wink and smile.
And he processes through as well. He pulls 100 lira in crumpled bills out of his wherever it is.
There's a bunch of stripper dollar bills.
Puts his axe on the. No, he's got a decent intelligence. He files for his visa, and they don't look in his bag either, and they shoo him along. The woman with the high collar does not return to the platform. She stands there while Blanka walks up next.
Place my shoulder bag and my clutch for their inspection. The clutch contains the bulldog.
The two items, the clutch and the bag, sit there on the table. He asks for your passport. He marvels, oh, we're well traveled, are we?
Just smile.
Welcome to Magnatia. I don't see a Magnatian stamp here. Is this your first trip to the island?
Was Blanka along for their trip to Ramry?
I don't remember where Ramry is.
When you guys came in and dealt with the Norman and the museum.
Oh, that was wasn't that the Isle of Man?
That's right. So no, she's not been here.
Okay. He asks if you applied for a holiday visa. When you tell him no, he slides you the paper, asks for 100 quin, and stamps your passport appropriately. Does not look in your bag. Okay. Pushes it to you and welcomes you to Magnatia.
Slide the appropriate money and idle forward.
Robyn gets up there and goes through the same process. He does not look in her carry-on either. None of the four of you were inspected.